And welcome everyone to our After the Episode a Game of Thrones recap and of course reaction. So this week the episode was Season 8, Episode 4, Last of the Starks. So let's get right into it. I mean, the episode kind of picked up shortly after the battle from last week, starting with the outside of the funeral, outside of Winterfell, the funeral pyre. Scene where they, the characters say their goodbyes to the people that they miss the most. Daenerys whispers something in Jorah's ear, and they light the funeral pyres, and Jon says some touching words.
He does.
Fairly simple scene. We do see that for sure Ghost in fact survived the Battle of Winterfell. Luckily,
minus one ear.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wanted to see him just disappear.
No.
And not come back after that. So
interesting.
Yeah, Corey, we'll start with you because me and Val talked a lot about all of this. So what were your thoughts on the opening scene?
I thought it was really good. Probably my favorite moment of the episode. Seeing all those corpses stacked up on hundreds of funeral pyres.
Yeah.
Can you call them that? Or do they need to be floating to be
Yeah.
a funeral pyre? I thought that was a really great moment.
Did
Go
you
ahead.
notice the huge trench of bodies like way in the back too, like way off in the distance?
No, I didn't.
I didn't notice
if
that
you
either.
look in that scene, well, they like zoom out a little bit, and in the back, at least I think that's what it is. It's this big. It looks like those black things where they keep like hay or manure or whatever,
Like a
like
trough.
a long
like
black trench, and it's just
Yeah.
bodies.
Well, you have to figure it should be, right?
Yeah.
Because all those dead that
Those,
died again.
Those are
when-
probably the
when
corpses.
the Night King passed on.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
not much to cover there. It was fairly straightforward. Some nice moments.
Yeah, I liked how each character had a moment with, like a meaningful character, like John with Lyanna Mormont and Sam with Ed, and Sansa with Theon. Like that was nicely done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Moving on. After the battle feast, they're all sitting around and it seems like awkwardly having a feast after the battle. Gendry gets up and starts looking for Arya, and Daenerys calls him over. And Jon and Davos kind of give each other a look like, oh boy, here we go. It's already started.
Tyrion's like, oh crap.
But yeah, she legitimizes him and gives him Storm's End, which is a nice moment. And she looks over at Tyrion afterwards and says, see, you're not the only one that does clever things, because she essentially just got herself an ally in that exchange.
And beat down, put down somebody who might have had a challenge for the throne.
Yeah, could possibly in some way pose a challenge for the throne. Definitely. Made him happy. Brienne, Jaime, Pod, and Tyrion play Tyrion's drinking game. I'm just going to gloss over the scene, and then we'll talk more about details and stuff if we want afterwards.
Sure.
So the celebration focuses around Jon and Arya. And Daenerys specifically toasts Arya as the hero of Winterfell. But she kind of gets left out. The people are there, want to celebrate with Jon and Sansa and the Lannisters, and she's kind of the odd man out.
That's what she gets for drinking tea at an ale party.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, this was the infamous coffee cup scene.
Yeah.
Starbucks
the
cup or
coffee
whatever.
cup
left in the background.
seen around the world, I guess. Not heard around the world, seen around
Yeah, I don't
the
know
world.
how much of this is hyperbole, but people were like actually upset about that, like bothered.
Oh, yeah. People were losing their minds.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't.
who
I'm sorry.
cares?
Yeah, Will
Like-
and I were talking about it earlier, and we're like, if you have time in your day to worry about that,
Yes.
like you must be in pretty good shape in life.
Yeah.
That is the
Yeah.
most upsetting
Yeah.
thing to you in a day.
First of all, we watched it. It was 3 times before
And
I
we-
think we even knew.
Right.
And then we watched it. No, it was twice.
It was
without
twice.
without knowing.
Yeah.
And then we watched it the next time. We're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, there's the
And that was the
coffee
end
cup.
of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And like
don't really care.
it's kind of funny. Like I don't know. It's
Yeah.
And we were like Dan was saying, and we were saying like in Lord of the Rings, like in one of the scenes, a car drives away in the background.
Right.
Like you can't be
happens.
perfect. Like, there's no such thing. Like, calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down.
So there was that. There was a moment where Sansa goes and talks with the Hound. They have a nice conversation. With Sansa, saying, I'm not the same person I was when you offered to rescue me earlier. I've grown since then. Gendry outside pledges his love for Arya and gets shot down fairly hard, but no surprises there. I would have been more surprised if she had been okay with all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have been very surprised.
Jaime and Brienne. Jaime follows Brienne into her room, and they awkwardly get it on
For some stooping.
That's right. And then the last scene for the after the battle feast, Daenerys meets Jon and begs him not to tell his family about his true identity. She's worried that it might tear them apart, tear their relationship apart, change things in ways that he wouldn't suspect and she wouldn't expect. So that was the last of the after battle feast. Corey, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this is probably my favorite episode so far this season.
Okay.
Wow.
I thought a lot of stuff worked for me.
It was a lot more Game of Thrones, right?
It was a return to form, which was nice.
Yeah.
And there were a couple moments that really changed my opinion of certain characters. Dany being one of them.
Yeah.
I think that last scene you talked about, Dan, added a layer of complexity to her
Absolutely.
That really worked for me.
Yeah.
That hadn't prior.
I started to pity her. Like I starting to feel bad for her.
Right.
She doesn't have anybody, and even fewer people, which we'll talk about further down the road.
Right.
Like she doesn't have anyone.
Yeah.
Yep. She's sort of becoming a tragic character, which is kind of nice. And early on this season, the first 3 episodes, I had complained about her on these recaps, thinking like she's just got to die. She's just got to die. But in that moment with Jon, I read that as she loves him and she doesn't want to lose him. It has much less to do with her claim on the Iron Throne than it does with the dynamic and relationship that she has with Jon. And it was in that moment that I, like you said, Dan, started to pity her, and she became this tragic hero. It seems like she's gonna have a awful death.
Yeah, it does.
And I all of a sudden like her all over again. And some of it too is we've really seen her be one certain way, and not only in like her character development, but also her acting. And the times where it didn't work for me previously was when she was with Jon. Like, she was never good at being in love, and maybe it's because they have bad chemistry on screen.
Yeah.
But after seeing her, I thought she acted that last scene really well, and it kind of reminded me of those kind of awkward, lovey moments she had with Jon, and it made me believe her in that moment. He's the only person, well, not the only person, but one of the very few people she's really opened up to and been vulnerable.
Yeah.
And she was very vulnerable in that scene, and it really worked for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep, totally agree.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about for that scene, Corey?
No.
Okay. What were your thoughts?
Let's see. So a lot of people, or well, maybe not a lot of people, but someone on the internet had a really big problem with Sansa and the Hounds scene. Because that person felt that she glorified rape and was so thankful that she was raped. And I'm like, wait a second. Like, no one is saying that.
Yeah.
I think her point was that she was enough of a new person that she was able to take these horrible things that happened to her and grow from them and learn from them. And that's, like in life, like you get awful situations, like you try to learn and grow from them, so,
right.
But I also, go ahead.
No, that's a really good point, and I hadn't really thought of it like that. And as you so eloquently put, like, a lot of people have tragedies that happen to them, but are thankful for them later in life because of the way they grew from them.
Right. Yeah. So, and I think too, I love the Hound. He's in like my top 3 characters. I have always loved the Hound.
Not always. The first
Not
time
always.
The first time
Not
you
at
watch
the
the show,
beginning.
you hate him.
Not right. You hate him. I should say,
how it's
like,
supposed
what,
to be.
season 2, he becomes a more likable character over time.
Yeah.
When he, like, you know, was like, forget Joffrey and, like, I'm just doing my own thing. But I love him as a character now. And I loved that, you know, he had a moment with her that he's like, I would have protected you. Like, I would have kept you safe. And because it just shows, like, he's not this grumpy old crotchety guy. Like, he, you know, he has a heart in there somewhere, and Arya and Sansa bring it out in him. So I just loved that. The drinking game was hilarious, I thought.
Tormund was his usual self.
I love Tormund.
It's not celebrating if you vomit.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I don't know. Do we want to get into Jaime and Brienne? Because this is where it goes down, right?
I honestly, I don't know if this was by accident, but I think the whole thing was awkward on purpose.
Yes.
Because I don't feel like it's something non-drunk Jaime, I don't think, does this.
Yeah.
Non-drunk Brienne, I don't think does this. So I think not only has Brienne never been with anybody, but Jaime's never been with anybody other than Cersei.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that plays a role. Like I said, it could be completely by accident, but I think that's why I thought, you know, it was awkward, no question.
Yeah.
But I think that was by design.
Yeah.
But maybe not. But that's just what I gathered from it.
Yeah. So I wanted to chat about it really quickly because for a long time I've been saying Jaime and Brienne need to get together. Like, this needs to happen. They love each other, da-da-da. So first time I watched it, I was like, get it, Brienne. Like, let's go. Let's do this, you know. And then like the second and third time I watched it, I was like, I can't even watch this. I hate it so much. Like, they took what I wanted to happen so badly and ruined it for me. But then now I'm at a place where I actually like it and I see how it fits because they're proving that, like, this is not a thing that should happen. Mm-hmm.
It was after the battle, drunken mistake.
And it didn't look right. Like, it just wasn't right.
I mean, anybody that's ever had a first time knows how awkward it can be.
Right.
So, like,
that's true.
This is just true to life. So.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, so now I'm at peace with it. Like, that something that I wanted to happen happened, and then I hated it. But now I'm like, okay. But I see that it has a place here.
Yeah.
And I agree totally with the Jon and Dany stuff too.
Yeah.
Like, I think I haven't felt bad for Dany in a really long time, probably since like season 1. Mm-hmm. So to see her vulnerable, like you were saying, that's a big deal. And I do think she's headed towards a very disastrous end, which is sad because we're going to all fall in love with her again, and then they're going to rip her from us.
Yep.
Because that's what they do.
Yep.
So next scene is at the war table, where the remaining northern forces and Daenerys forces, they make a plan. There's a lot more of the army left over than I had initially thought, and I don't know if they never explained it, but I don't know if they kept reserves somewhere else. But it seems like most everybody got wiped out, but that turns out that's not the case. They apparently only lost about 50% of their forces.
Yeah.
That's.
I don't. Did they keep people at White Harbor? Like, that was never explained,
no.
but
Well, yeah, and that's. I mean, that's you, Dan, doing your.
I was confused.
You're doing your filling in the blanks, which you're good at, but that totally didn't work for most people.
Yeah.
So there was that. Sansa, and I think smartly suggests that they wait. They had just fought an awful battle. A lot of the forces were wounded. One of the dragons was wounded. She says, let's wait a little bit. She's quickly rebuffed by Daenerys, and Jon reinforces her. They say, we're allies with her. We're gonna do what she says. So after that, Arya tells Jon they need to speak with him. Mm-hmm. Short scene. What'd you think, Corey?
I don't really have any specific thoughts on that.
Yeah.
No, I really don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should admit, I was falling asleep during this episode.
Were you?
Mm.
So I might have missed some nuance here and there.
Okay.
Sure.
Sophie does a good job of making sure I'm awake, but she can't watch me and watch the screen at the same time.
Right.
So,
Sure.
if she looks over and sees I'm sleeping, she'll wake me up.
Yeah,
But
smack you around a little bit.
yeah, it's just with mowing season, I'm just shot by the end of the day.
Yep.
So in the Godswood, Jon, Arya and Sansa are, we don't trust your queen, yada yada.
We're a family.
Yep, we're a family. Jon tells Arya and Sansa that he is not, in fact, a Stark. He swears them to secrecy. Arya, really quickly swears. Sansa delays for a second and then swears.
Kind of.
And then, Jon has Bran tell them, and then they cut away.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating for me. This
Yes.
was very frustrating for me. I wanted to see their reaction. I can almost guarantee they filmed it, but maybe it didn't come out good, and that's why they didn't use it. But I don't know. I don't know how you felt about it, Corey.
I felt the same thing. I really wanted to see it, but part of me, and I'm kicking myself for saying this, but part of me wonders if something else was said that will be revealed later on.
That could very well be.
Maybe.
But that could be more like Game of Thrones fan wishful thinking, like maybe there's more complexity to this than there really is, and 95% of the time there isn't.
Right.
So I don't want to disappoint myself. That's what I hope. But I mean, it's such a powerful moment to have the Stark sisters hear that and to not put it on screen. Like, what are you for more? You're saving screen time for more Tormund jokes kind of thing. Like,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And I'll say I liked this episode. I largely liked most of it, but it is starting to feel a little too rushed and compressed. I really think they should have just done a whole season, because then we could have gotten that. We could have gotten more fleshed out scenes. Because one of my favorite things about the scenes is they gave scenes time to marinate. In the past, where you could see character reactions and emotions and all that stuff, and see things play out behind the scenes. So.
And speaking of that, my favorite, I have to call this out every time it comes up, but my favorite let it marinate scene is the one where Tyrion arrives at the small council and he has to pull a chair around.
Yes.
Exactly,
That's just the best scene ever. Nobody says a word, but there's so much that you can pick up in that scene.
It's like 1 minute of them moving around chairs.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's so Tyrion. And that's why, like, you have to love Tyrion because of those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you have any thoughts about that? I mean, you probably feel the same way.
I felt the same way. Like, when they cut away, I was like, what? This is the best part. Like, I want to see what Sansa and Arya say or think of this. Like, because there's so many things to that. Like, Ned wasn't telling the truth the whole time. Like, like, Aunt Lyanna is Jon's mom. He's a freaking Targaryen. Like, he's got the best claim to the throne. Like, there is so much to that, and to just not show it, that was frustrating. So much.
So the next scene, a tavern in the north, and Tyrion is pressing Jaime about sleeping with Brienne. They joke around about it, and Bronn pops into the tavern in the north, all angry and carrying a crossbow.
Joffrey's crossbow.
He cracks Tyrion in the face, gives him a bloody nose. Threatens to kill both of them, and in the exchange, Tyrion promises him Highgarden because Cersei had promised him Riverrun, so he wants double Riverrun. So,
of course he does.
What were your thoughts on this scene, Corey?
I was glad that I was somewhat vindicated in my belief that Bronn is motivated solely by material rewards, because I do think if he didn't believe that Tyrion and Jaime their side would win, I think he would have killed them. But I think I think he's a pretty smart guy too, and he's waiting to see who wins in order to figure out who's going to give him his reward.
I thought he came across a lot more aggressive than I would have thought.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I was like, whoa, is this Bronn? Like, he was such an ass. Like, he's an ass anyway, but he was like a mean, aggressive ass. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
But that was it. That was just my thought.
Do we know where he went after that? Like, is he kind of traveling with them?
Yeah.
Because if it's me, I'm throwing him in the brig and
I think
we'll figure it out once the war's over.
I think he's laying low. I know he doesn't want to be in King's Landing for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
See, if I was after that encounter, though, if I were Jamie and Tyrion, I would be terrified. I'd be like looking over my shoulder all the time.
I would want to have him killed, probably. That's
and they just
if
seem to brush him off.
If he had come in and been like, "Look, this is what your sister offered me. I'm giving you guys a chance to give me more," and had a conversation and wasn't all angry and threatening. Lannister always pays his debts. Well, the debt might be a crossbow to the head for Bronn.
Yeah, like I would not have brushed it off as easily as they did.
Yeah.
Like it makes me nervous that he's just gonna show up and pop him one, but I feel like if they did that to us, that would be terrible. Because if Tyrion and or Jamie pass on, it needs to be more than like a crossbow to the face and that's it. Like
or the
it's
back.
gotta be more, right? Or the back.
Even worse.
Right. Although that's
You
how
would have said the
Tyrion
same about
killed Tywin.
Shot to death on the toilet.
Yeah.
But
that was perfect.
It was a great scene.
Yeah, that was perfect. It was fantastic. Poetic. Yeah.
So there's that. So the Hound is headed south.
Yes.
And Arya joins him on his journey.
It's my favorite part.
They have another nice moment. They're both headed south to take care of unfinished business.
Yes.
Neither planning on returning or coming out of this thing alive. So.
Yep. Yeah, the Hound, is one of my favorites. Arya is one of my favorites as well. So, I love that they're going to be together again. I love how he was like, if I get hurt, will you leave me to die again? And she's like, probably. And he laughs, like that. I don't know. I like seeing that he's more than just, again, a grumpy old guy that has seen too much war, I love their interaction. So I know it won't be as much as in the past, but I'm glad to see them back together again. And I love how she's like, he's like, you're a hero. And she's like, I don't like heroes. Like, she just like defeated the Night King and all of the army of the dead. And she's like, meh, I've got unfinished business. I'm not done yet. And it's like, do you know what you just did? Like, and she just doesn't care.
Nope.
So the next scene shows Rhaegal kind of recovering, flying around a little bit.
Man.
And then it cuts to Tyrion coming up to Sansa on the battlements of Winterfell. He pleads with Sansa not to antagonize her because Sansa's...
Not to antagonize Dany?
Yeah, Daenerys.
Yeah.
And Sansa's also upset about Jon heading south. So... At that point, she presumably spills the beans to Tyrion about Jon's birth, because she says, "What if there's a better option, as opposed to Daenerys?" So, thoughts, Corey?
No thoughts other than, again, we didn't see their conversation.
What exactly
right?
was said, right?
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder why.
Yeah.
Like, are they maybe? I don't know. I mean, maybe. Was there anything to indicate that they had said it was Jon?
Yeah, because Tyrion talks to Varys later about Jon being Stark Targaryen.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is another one I'll have to watch again to really pick up on the nuance. But yeah, I was just annoyed again by why didn't they show it? Makes you wonder. Sansa is becoming a little bit of a mini Cersei, in my opinion, which also worked for me. It kind of made sense in the greater context of the show. That's another reason why I think this episode really worked for me, is we saw like character growth and some changes and character arcs kind of reaching their peak and changing over and stuff like that. So I liked it. She's playing the game now.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, I was like, when she, when Tyrion was like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "Oh my God, she's gonna say something." And there was part of me that was like, "Shut up!" And there was part of me that was like, "Do it," because it's good for the story. And and I'm glad she did it, and I'm glad it was Tyrion, because, like, obviously Sansa and Tyrion had a moment together in the crypts.
There's trust there.
There's trust, and I don't know. I like to see that. It's a callback to like way back, when they were married, and. Like, it's just nice to see that she's, like, come around, like, she's grown, and, she's like, I can trust him because I know he's a good person, and I just like to see all of that coming together.
she's a major player now rather than
Oh
just
yeah.
a pawn.
Oh yeah. I mean, even like her dress was very Cersei. Her hair has been very Cersei for a while now. Like she's got a lot of Cersei-ish things going on, so it's pretty cool to see.
Next up on the list, Jon's goodbye. So he says goodbye to Tormund, Sam, and a pregnant Gilly. One thing of note is that he wants Ghost to return north of the wall to Tormund. Tormund is going to take the wildlings back north of the wall after the winter storms are done. And doesn't say goodbye to Ghost.
They'll be back. They'll both be back.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean,
I think so.
really, and Val said this, and I thought it was brilliant, is that we just assumed Jon said goodbye to Ghost, like off screen, off
Yeah.
camera.
Again,
Yeah.
sure, but like that doesn't make for good TV.
No.
Yeah. The only reason that I would say maybe he did is because when John's getting ready to leave, Ghost looks at him and like whines and whimpers. So I almost feel like he knew that like he was him and like he would be separated from John ahead of time. But like if he didn't say goodbye to him, that really is crap. Like this is my least favorite part because like
Now everyone
it's
wants
an
him to die.
animal. Like I don't know. Watching the
Didn't
animals
they-
die is way worse.
They also indicated that Ghost had a pretty substantial role in this season, and we haven't seen that yet, right?
He hasn't done anything.
Yeah,
We
I
haven't
mean,
seen
he
him.
was
So,
in the
I mean-
battle, but we didn't see him fight.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's going to be one of those things where, all the people you've forgotten about are going to show up.
Yeah,
That battle at King's Landing.
yeah, yep, that totally makes sense to me.
I mean, and they gave themselves an out with Tormund because he said after
Yeah.
the winter storms, which could be who
A
knows how
while.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, what does he say? Like, you never know, or something. When he's like, we won't. This is goodbye, and he's like, you never know.
Yeah.
Tormund, and I was like, okay,
Yep.
we're probably gonna see Tormund again. Like they're BFFs. Like, I can't imagine he's just gonna let let John go and go live. Because I mean, the other thing I was thinking is if Cersei does win, like she's gonna come and get the wildlings, right? I mean, everything's gonna be hers in her mind, so she's gonna take care of them eventually.
Yeah.
So
Next on the list is Tyrion and Varys on the ship on the way back to Dragonstone. Tyrion tells Varys about Jon and his Stark Targaryen birth, and Varys confirms Daenerys' fears about the information spiraling out of control and kind of taking things out of their hands. He says specifically since 8 people, because Tyrion confirms that 8 people know, and Varys says, well, that's information now. It's no longer a secret. Pretty soon, hundreds of people will know, and it's just going to snowball. So,
well, Varys knows. Everyone's gonna know.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was my thought. Yeah. Same thought.
Yeah. What'd you think, Corey?
Yeah, it's going to be information that's weaponized. I thought, is this when they talk about what to do with Dany as well?
No, that's their next.
Yeah, that's like
scene.
later. Yeah.
You can bring that up. They're kind of the same
Yeah,
thing.
same
So,
type of scene.
yeah, it's Tyrion and Varys in Dragonstone talk about the problem of Jon, with Daenerys becoming increasingly unhinged with the loss of some of her allies and stuff. Varys seems to be leaning towards Jon for the Iron Throne. He thinks he's the only one that's going to bring the North back into the fold of the Seven Kingdoms, because he's part Stark, and then Targaryen has the birthright to be on the Iron Throne, and the Stark part of him can bring the North in.
Yep.
Because it doesn't seem like Sansa's going to want to rejoin the Seven Kingdoms at all. So.
Yeah. So another part that really worked for me, and again, I don't remember if it's this scene or somewhere else, but when Tyrion basically pleads with Dany and says, like, I'm begging you, do not do this.
Yeah.
For me, that was like 2 layered, because it's him saying, like, don't kill all these innocent people. And then it's
Yeah.
also him saying, if you do this, we have to betray you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I took that.
Yeah.
Because he knows Varys, and that part's brought up in this thing. Like, Varys is for the realm. Like, he's
Right.
trying
Oh, yeah.
to protect and help the little people. And with Daenerys becoming increasingly angry with Cersei and her actions, and really like not being able to win the war.
Yeah.
Both the war on the field and the war of information. You know, Qyburn kind of has control of information.
Yeah.
How it's viewed in the hearts and minds of Westeros, the Westerosi too. Like she's kind of losing that battle too, obviously.
Right.
So yeah.
I mean,
but at the end, Tyrion pleads with Varys, like, please don't. So you wonder what Varys has in mind for Daenerys, if he plans on trying to kill her, or what. Like, what's happening here?
I think that was the message I got loud and clear.
Yeah.
Like, because Tyrion was, like, looking at him in, like, slow motion, like, don't do what I know you're probably thinking about. And Varys is like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Like, if he's done with her, he's done with her. Like, we know Varys, you know, like you said, is true to the realm, and he doesn't think Dany's the right person. That's it for him. You know, his mind's made up. Yeah. So that's going to get real ugly.
Yeah, so we jumped ahead a little bit, but in the return to Dragonstone, Daenerys and her fleet are ambushed by Euron, and Rhaegal is killed in the process. Yeah. With some scorpion bolts, and Missandei is captured also in this scene. A lot of people didn't like this, with Daenerys getting ambushed.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. That was an egregious plot hole to me.
Do you think?
I really do. Like, and it's just the biggest issue I have with it is it's something that could have been easily explained with one quick little scene that wouldn't have been very expensive, that wouldn't have had to take up a ton of time. Just them hiding a little bit better, and Dany flying over in the dragon and not seeing them.
Yeah.
And that would have been enough. I would have been like, okay, they were just picked a really good hiding spot. She tried, but she didn't see him. What was the first thing you would do if you had a dragon? Like, do some scouting, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This scene did not make sense to me at all.
Well, here's the thing. I think there's a little bit of hubris at work here. Let's be honest, Daenerys and hubris. But I also think part of it too is naval threats, or ships and stuff weren't ever a threat to the dragons, right? Ships burn up when they're with dragons. I don't think she had no idea that they had equipped the ships with the dragon killing weapons. So maybe she just didn't care.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So if it's hubris, all you got to do, have a little scene where Dany's angry and jumping on the dragon, and somebody says, no, don't, like, we're not ready, or something like that. And then you explain to hubris.
Fair
right
enough. Yeah.
Very easily. Your second point is probably a much better one and makes more sense, but it's still like, okay, it still doesn't work. In my opinion, even if that is the reason.
Oh, I didn't like it, don't get me wrong.
I didn't like this part at all. I just I don't know. I can't put my finger on all of it, like, right at this second, but I don't know. It was just like, I wish that she had listened to Sansa and taken, like, a little bit of time. Because if they had maybe even had one more day, they might have been like, should we think about threats where we're going? Like, what could be, what traps could they have set for us?
Because Dragonstone is not far from King's Landing.
Yeah, and we've been fighting this huge war and not even thinking about Cersei and Euron. So, like, could we take some time to just digest maybe what could be out there? Right. So I think maybe it was showing that she was just rushing into it too much, and that's the start of her mad queendom or whatever. Right. Like, that she's just rushing because she wants to win it all, and it's not the way to do it.
After you said that, Val, I almost wish that Sansa had said as much. Like, let's slow down and think about this, because, I mean, the reason she gave was that the soldiers need to rest.
Right.
But if it was like, let's slow down, take our time, and think about this, then that would play into Dan's point about hubris, and that other scene might have worked pretty well.
Yeah.
The dragons get shot down. But anyway.
So a couple things from there. Let's see. King's Landing. It cuts to King's Landing. It shows Cersei bringing the civilians into the Red Keep for meat shield defense, essentially. She lies to Euron about the pregnancy. If she is indeed still pregnant, it would be Jaime's baby and not Euron's, because we know she was pregnant beforehand. And then it shows Missandei in chains. This is a great scene, and we talked about this. It's very clear that Cersei does not like Euron. To us,
the acting.
How could you?
Well, that's just it. But she's repulsed by him, like literally repulsed.
Someone posted on Facebook, but like someone posted on Facebook, like the last 10 minutes of this episode alone, Cersei deserves all the awards for Best Actress Anywhere. And like, I totally agree. Because hate her as much as you will, you hate her for a reason, because the acting is out of this world. Like, it's so good. Because you can tell she's like, I'm pretending to like you, but I really can't stand you. Don't touch me. Like, and it was
I really
so
liked,
good.
jumping ahead a little bit though, but it's to your point about her acting. I really liked the moment where she touched Miss Andy and said, if you have any last words, now would be the time to say them, because there was still like, it wasn't necessarily regret, but compassion.
Yeah.
There was compassion in her terribleness. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep. Let's see, where were we? Just a couple quick things. The Dragonstone War Council, Varys levels with Dany. He says, "Look, if you ever want it, here's where they talk
You're
about
making
previous.
a mistake.
Yeah, you're making a mistake. Please don't do what you talked about, Corey. Please don't do what I think you're going to do. Burn King's Landing." Daenerys agrees to give Cersei one last chance with a parley to surrender the throne, and surrender with her life and save the people of King's Landing. We already kind of covered that. Back at Winterfell, Jaime finds out about Euron's ambush of Daenerys and the death of the dragon. He decides to head back to King's Landing, much to Brienne's chagrin. She pleads with him to stay and not go back to King's Landing. How'd you feel, Corey?
I didn't like that. That was another part that didn't really work for me. I mean, I liked the idea of it. I just think the execution was off.
Okay.
It just didn't make sense to me that like one little hiccup was enough for Jaime to get on his horse and ride south. Like he didn't get a ton of information about what went on. It just I feel like he needed a little bit more motivation.
I think what's happening here is I think maybe he realizes or is thinking that he's the only one that can stop Cersei.
Yeah.
You know, when you hear that the Daenerys' fleet was ambushed and one of the dragons was killed, like he just saw them tear up an army of
Dead.
100,000 dead. But you know, it was at least seemingly easily killed by Euron. He's like, this has got to stop.
Went down pretty easily.
So I really think he left to go take care of Cersei himself.
Yeah, because he never. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, sadly, I did get the impression that was Jaime and Brienne's last interaction. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Oh, I think it will be. Yeah. I don't know, because Jaime never makes it clear. Like, he's like, I did this for Cersei, but he never makes it clear why he's going back. Because he loves her, or because he knows he has to destroy her. Like, you know, it's nuanced there.
Yeah.
And then the last scene, so it's outside of King's Landing. Tyrion and Qyburn parley with Tyrion. It's the little bit of Daenerys' army that's left.
Yeah,
and
like
then the
10 of
entire
them.
defense force of King's Landing. So Tyrion and Qyburn parley. Tyrion pleads with Qyburn for help in ending the bloodshed. And when they get nowhere, he walks right up to the walls to his own, detriment of his own personal safety, potentially.
Oh, yeah. I thought he was done.
Pleads directly to Cersei. He's like, you're not a monster. Don't do this, if not for yourself, but for your child. Doesn't work, like you said, Corey. Cersei says, Missandei, if you have any last words, now's the time. So Missandei yells, Dracarys.
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well.
And the mountain executes her, and she tumbles off the ledge there. And Daenerys' face after that, she's just quivering with rage.
Well, yeah, another of her close confidants.
That was her last friend.
It was the last one, really.
So I know Grey Worm's kind of a confidant, but I wouldn't consider Grey Worm to be a friend. Yeah.
Right.
No.
Like Missandei, like Jorah.
Yeah.
So.
Hey.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the handsome dude?
Dario?
Did he die?
No, she left him in Marine.
In Marine, yeah.
To run Marine.
Yep.
Couldn't remember. So he's going to show up along with
I think
Yara
he is.
and
Yara,
Tormund and Howland Reed.
I really don't think we're going to see Howland Reed at this point.
Probably too late.
I wish we had.
Nymeria? Is Ghost going to go get Nymeria and all of them?
Well, Nymeria would be in the Riverlands, so they're going through there.
And she had a whole pack with her, right? When Arya saw her?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice. They're all going to show up.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
And I have guessed, I think a lot of things are going to show up. I think it's going to be huge. I hope it's going to be huge.
So what did you think about the last scene, Corey?
I loved it.
Yep.
Really loved it. I thought the choreography was great. I thought everybody's dialogue was great. Tyrion was great. Val, like you, I thought he was gonna die. I'm glad he didn't, but
Me
it
too.
really, the tension was there.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it was just desperation, I feel like, on Tyrion's part. He's like, if I don't do this and get a result, then things are gonna be real bad.
Yeah.
And I think he really wanted Cersei to back down because he doesn't. I still think that he's gonna have to end up betraying Dany.
Yeah.
And because Cersei didn't, he knows, like, oh my god, like, we're gonna try to kill my sister and I have to betray Dany.
Yep.
I don't know. There's
He's
a lot
got a
there's a lot of
mess.
layers there, which is nice because I feel like there haven't been any layers in the last 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
I also really like the scene. A lot of people hated it. They're like, why didn't Cersei just kill everyone there?
Can't.
But yeah, no,
like a thing.
people tried to explain what a parley was, and Reddit wasn't having any of it.
Yeah.
They can't.
They're like, Cersei blew up the Sept of Baelor, but she's afraid to, kill her most hated enemies, outside of the gates of King's Landing. But it's not the same situation at all. It was a parley. She, despite having some unhinged moments, the Sept of Baelor could be blamed on just the cache of wildfire. No one probably knows that Cersei is the one responsible for it, other than maybe some of the higher ups. But she's also, she has to rule a kingdom afterwards, and if the lords of Westeros know that she murdered, some enemies
Everyone.
who were trying to make peace outside the walls, that's not going to sit well with the lords of Westeros.
Yeah.
Or the people if they find out. So that would have just been ridiculously stupid in my opinion. I think she's trying to goad Daenerys into doing something stupid, and I think she played that perfectly. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, that was almost universal that people were like, why didn't Cersei just kill Cersei just kill everybody? But I thought it was fairly obvious that she couldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she wants Dany to kill the innocents.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. She's got to make
And
Dany
be the
look
bad guy
bad.
and protect
Yeah.
Westeros from the monster.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yep. She's got to. Cersei's got to be the hero.
So
Yeah.
ultimate thoughts, real quick.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy with this episode.
I was happy with it too.
Yeah.
Like I said, a few minor problems, but most of it boils down to I just think they should have filmed 10 episodes. They're trying to cram a little too much into too little time. I'm still like how are they going to wrap everything up? It's 2 more episodes at this point. Like there's so much. So
Yeah.
I just hope it all at least kind of works.
Yeah. So I actually, I don't think I told you this. I hated this episode the first time we watched it.
Oh, did you?
I did. And I think there were a couple of reasons. I think the ghost thing really bothered me. I think Rhaegal bothered me. And I think, so for me personally, the whole Night King, the whole Battle of Winterfell was such a powerful episode for me personally. Because the last song, the music and the whole how Arya came in and killed the Night King, it was so powerful to me for some reason that this episode, I knew it was going to be like this, it was going to be the aftermath of that, but it took me watching it a second time to be like, oh, this was fantastic. I was still just on a Night King, Arya's awesome high. I almost needed a little more time to get away from that high of the Night King's gone, just for me, because I know a lot of people didn't like the Battle of Winterfell, but I really did. So I think it was just timing for me, because now I'm like, this episode is so good. Just because of the characters and everything. So it's fantastic. Well done.
Yeah, I dug it. It felt like a return to Game of Thrones for me. The political intrigue stuff is why I like the episode, the show in the first place. So
kind of makes you wonder what it would have been like if all along there was no Night King, no threat of the dead.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have been that different.
Yeah, I've read that. I've read did that even need to be a thing?
Yeah, I mean, really, all that was essentially was getting Daenerys to have some Westerosi allies.
Yeah,
right? At least ones that survived. The initial war between Daenerys and Cersei, because obviously Dorne, although apparently Dorne pledged support to Daenerys, but you know, the Reach was quickly wiped out by the Lannister forces. So,
when you were talking, Dan, it made me think of one other thought I had while watching this episode, and that's like, Jon is just one really lucky guy.
Yeah,
right.
If you think about it. I mean, Stannis saved his life, saved all of that, like randomly. You know, Dany did the same thing. He just
Sansa
to have the right allies in the right moment. Yeah.
Yeah, Sansa with bringing the Knights of the Vale into the Battle of the Bastards. Yeah, because he was going to die.
I still think Shireen's death is what brought Jon Snow back to life.
Oh, yeah.
Could be.
And Melisandre, you know, I don't know. I just, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, what that means for him as the king. I don't know.
Rather be lucky than good.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And too, I wonder what role Bran still has to play in everything.
Right.
Because, like, he's still around
staring off into the distance.
Around.
Yeah, like, and his interaction with Tyrion, actually, Tyrion's like, "Oh, you're Lord of Winterfell now," and then he's like, "Oh, you don't want it," and then, like, Bran's like, "Yeah, like, you know, don't envy me. I just mainly live in the past," and I don't know. Like, I wonder if anything is gonna come of Bran and.
That would be so disappointing if it didn't, though, wouldn't it?
Right. Like we have to get something more from Bran, but, like, what is that going to be, you know?
Yeah.
Because now he's not, like, he's in Winterfell, so what, you know, and they're obviously going to be in King's Landing for this next episode, so I don't know. But, I mean, I guess he could, you know, he can do whatever, because he's the Red Raven, so. He's
going to warg into Nymeria and bring the whole pack.
Yeah, right? Maybe. I mean, maybe.
I still thought he was going to warg into the dragons at some point.
Yeah, I'm surprised that never happened.
Yeah.
But
who knows? Because we still don't know where he went. So.
Yeah. So we got 2 more episodes. One Mother's Day this Sunday, and then the series finale. So
I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm so excited, but I can't wait because I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be over. Like, what do we do?
It's been.
I've decided what I'm gonna do, and it's because so far this season isn't working for me. Is I'm gonna read the books.
Oh,
I've thought about that. That's a good idea.
I would recommend it. I'm almost done with the last book.
You're listening to it.
It doesn't matter.
Reading.
It's the same.
Same difference.
The idea of a book is to absorb the text, whether you read it or listen to it. You absorb the text. So
yeah. I actually, I mean, I think I've trained my brain this way, but I absorb it better if I'm listening to it than if I'm reading.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We have too many distractions in our household now to read, so.
Yeah. And not enough energy to read.
Yeah.
We're better off listening than reading.
You just have to turn the book on louder than the kids, right?
Yeah. Makes for a really fun time.
So yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. We will see you for next week's After the Episode Game of Thrones recap.